Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the English Learning Podcast. I'm your host, Mark, and I'm so glad you're here with us today.
And I'm Jessica, your co-host. We're really excited because today's topic is something that can truly transform the way you learn English daily fluency practice.
That's right. Whether you're studying for exams, preparing for work, or just want to feel more confident in conversations, practicing a little bit every day makes all the difference.
Exactly. You don't need hours and hours. Sometimes even 10 or 15 minutes of focused practice can help you move forward faster than you think.
In this episode, we'll be talking about why daily practice is so important, how to create simple routines, and practical strategies you can start using right after you finish listening.
And don't worry, we'll keep it light and fun. This isn't about making learning feel like a chore. It's about small, enjoyable steps that build fluency over time.
So, wherever you are right now, walking, commuting, or just relaxing at home, get ready to discover how to make English practice a natural part of. So, Jessica, let's start with the big question. Why does daily practice matter so much for learning English?
Good question. I think the key word here is consistency. When you practice a little every day, your brain stays connected to the language. It's like watering a plant. If you water it regularly, it grows steadily.
Exactly. If you only study once a week for 2 or 3 hours, you might feel productive. But honestly, your brain forgets a lot in between. Daily practice, even just 10 minutes, keeps your English alive.
Yes. And let me share a quick example. I had a student who only did 15 minutes a day listening to podcasts while walking to work. In just 3 months, their listening comprehension improved so much that they could watch TV shows without subtitles.
That's a great story. And personally, I've noticed the same thing with myself learning Spanish. I used to do long study sessions once in a while, but I never made real progress. When I switched to short daily habits, like listening while cooking or reviewing vocabulary before bed, suddenly everything clicked.
Right, because it becomes part of your lifestyle, not just a task. And listeners, if you've ever felt frustrated or thought, I'm not improving, sometimes the answer isn't studying harder, it's just studying more regularly.
That's powerful. Daily practice doesn't just help your memory, it also builds confidence. Every day you use English, you remind yourself, I can do this.
Exactly. So if you're listening and thinking, but I don't have time, don't worry, you don't need hours. We'll share lots of easy, practical strategies in just a moment.
Perfect. Now that we've talked about why daily practice is important, let's move on to the next part, the mindset you need to make it work. All right, so now that we know why daily practice matters, let's talk about something just as important: mindset. Because honestly, if your mindset isn't right, it's really hard to stay consistent.
Yes. And the first thing to remember is this: fluency doesn't mean perfection. Too many learners think, I can't speak until my grammar is perfect, or I shouldn't try because I'll make mistakes.
I hear that all the time too. But the truth is, mistakes are part of learning. You don't become fluent by avoiding mistakes, you become fluent by using English, even if it's not perfect.
Exactly. I once had a student who refused to speak in class because they were afraid of sounding wrong. But after we encouraged them to just try, even with simple words, their confidence grew. Within a few months, they were chatting comfortably and even making jokes in English.
That's such a good example. And honestly, I think confidence is like a muscle. The more you practice, the stronger it gets. But if you wait until you feel ready, you'll wait forever.
Totally. And here's another mindset shift. Focus on progress, not perfection. If today you can say one sentence more easily than yesterday, that's progress. If you understand 5 more words this week, That's progress.
I love that. Small wins add up, and it helps to celebrate them instead of saying, "Oh, I'm still not fluent." Fluency is a journey, not a finish line.
Yes. And listeners, I want you to remember this. It's better to practice imperfect English every day than to stay silent waiting for perfect English that never comes.
Beautifully said, Jessica. So let's keep that mindset in mind as we move forward: confidence, progress, and embracing mistakes. With that foundation, daily practice becomes much easier and much more enjoyable.
And next, we'll share some practical strategies for your daily fluency practice, starting with input activities like listening and reading.
Okay, so let's get into some practical strategies. We'll start with input, which means the English you take in, listening and reading.
Yes, input is super important because it feeds your brain with natural language. The more you hear and read, the more your brain gets used to the rhythm, vocabulary, and structure of English.
Exactly. So let's start with listening. One of the easiest daily habits is just putting English into your ears: podcasts, audiobooks, YouTube videos, even songs.
Right, and you don't always need to sit down with a notebook. For example, if you're commuting, you can listen to a podcast. If you're cooking, play an audiobook in the background. The key is to make English part of your daily life.
I do that myself. Every morning when I'm making coffee, I listen to a Spanish podcast. I don't understand every single word, but that's okay. I'm training my ears.
That's such a good point. Don't worry if you don't understand everything. The goal is exposure. Over time, your brain naturally starts to recognize words and phrases.
Now, let's talk about reading. Reading just a little bit every day, even 5 minutes, can expand your vocabulary and give you a sense of how sentences are built.
Yes, and you don't have to read difficult novels. Start with short, interesting texts, news articles, blogs, graded readers, or even Instagram posts in English.
One of my favorite tricks is micro-reading. I keep a short article on my phone and read it while waiting in line or during a coffee break.
That's a great idea. And listeners, remember this. Choose materials you actually enjoy. If you love sports, read sports news. If you love stories, read short stories. Enjoyment keeps you motivated.
So to summarize this part, for listening, use podcasts, audiobooks, or songs as part of your routine. For reading, pick short, fun texts and sneak them into small moments of your day.
Yes, and even if it's just 5 to 10 minutes a day, it really builds up over weeks and months.
Exactly. And in the next part, we'll switch from input to output, the activities where you actually produce English, like speaking and writing.
That's going to be fun. Output is where you really feel your progress.
All right, so we've covered input, listening, and reading. Now let's talk about output. This is where you actually use English, speaking and writing.
Yes, and I know for many learners, speaking feels scary, but honestly, speaking a little every day is the fastest way to build fluency.
Absolutely. One great method is shadowing listening to a short audio clip and repeating it out loud, almost like an echo. It helps with pronunciation, rhythm, and confidence.
Let's give a quick example. Imagine you're listening to the phrase, "I'd like a cup of coffee, please." You hear it once, then you repeat, "I'd like a cup of coffee, please." Try to copy the tone and speed as closely as possible.
That's so effective. And you can do it with podcasts, movies, or even songs. The key is to speak out loud, not just in your head.
Another simple technique is self-talk. Talk to yourself in English while doing daily activities. For example, if you're cooking, you can say, "I'm chopping an onion. Now I'm frying it." It sounds funny, but it works.
Yes, I've done that when practicing Spanish describing what I'm doing. It keeps my brain switching into that language.
Now let's not forget writing. Even a short daily habit like journaling can make a huge difference. Just write a few sentences about your day, your feelings, or your plans.
That's right. Journaling is powerful because it slows your thoughts down. You have time to think about grammar and vocabulary, and over time, you'll see your writing get smoother.
Or if you're more social, try writing short posts on social media in English. Share a thought, a quote, or even a photo description. That way, you're practicing and maybe even getting feedback.
So whether it's speaking through shadowing and self-talk, or writing in a journal or online, the key is this. Don't just take in English. Use it.
Exactly. Input is like fuel, but output is the engine. You need both to move forward.
Well said. And now that we've talked about input and output strategies, let's bring it all together and look at how to build a simple daily routine that combines them.
Yes, because when you organize your practice into a routine, it becomes a natural habit instead of a struggle.
All right, we've talked about input and output strategies. Now the big question is, how do we fit them into a daily routine?
Yes, because if you don't plan it, it's easy to say, I'll practice later. And then later never comes.
Exactly. So the first tip is, keep it short and realistic. You don't need an hour every day. Even 15 minutes can be powerful if you do it consistently.
Right. Think of it like brushing your teeth. It's a small daily habit, but it keeps everything healthy. Language practice works the same way.
So let's design a sample routine together. Say you only have 15 minutes a day. How can you use that time?
Okay, here's one idea. 5 minutes listening maybe a podcast on your commute, 5 minutes speaking shadowing or self-talk, 5 minutes writing a short journal entry about your day.
That's perfect. Just 15 minutes, but you've practiced listening, speaking, and writing both input and output.
And if you have more time, you can stretch it. For example, 10 minutes listening, 10 minutes reading, 10 minutes speaking or writing. That's 30 minutes total, and it covers everything.
Yes, and here's another important point. Attach your practice to something you already do. For example, listen while walking, read while drinking coffee, write before bed. That's called habit stacking.
I love that term. Habit stacking makes practice feel natural, not like extra homework.
Exactly. And remember, your routine doesn't have to be the same every single day. Some days you might only listen. Other days you might only write. The goal is just to keep touching the language daily.
Yes, because consistency beats intensity. Small steps every day lead to big results.
So, listeners, try to create your own simple routine. Start small, maybe just 10 or 15 minutes, and build from there.
And if you miss a day, don't give up. Just come back the next day. Progress is about persistence, not perfection.
Exactly. And speaking of persistence, let's talk about something every learner faces: motivation and how to keep going when life gets busy.
Yes, this is where we'll share tips for staying consistent even when you feel tired or discouraged.
So, Jessica, we've built this daily routine, but let's be honest, life gets busy. People get tired. Schedules change. How can learners stay motivated?
That's such an important question. First, I think it helps to remember why you're learning English. Maybe it's for your career, maybe travel, maybe to connect with people around the world. Keep that reason in mind. It's your fuel.
Yes, I love that. For me, when I'm learning Spanish, I always remind myself, I want to have real conversations when I travel. That vision keeps me going on the hard days.
Another tip is to make practice enjoyable. If you love music, sing along to English songs. If you love movies, watch clips or shows you enjoy. The more fun it feels, the easier it is to stick with it.
Exactly. And let's talk about obstacles. Sometimes learners say, I don't have time. My answer is, you don't need big blocks of time, just micro-practice. Even 2 or 3 minutes count.
Yes. I tell my students if you can scroll social media for 5 minutes, you can also read a short English article or write one sentence in your journal. Small steps add up.
And here's another trick. Find an accountability partner. If you have a friend who's also learning English, you can check in with each other daily, even if it's just a quick message.
That's so powerful. Or join an online community. When you see others practicing, you feel motivated to do the same.
And finally, don't be too hard on yourself. If you miss a day, it's okay. Just get back to it the next day. Progress comes from persistence, not perfection.
Exactly. Learning a language is a marathon, not a sprint. The most important thing is to keep going.
Beautifully said. And with that, let's move to our final part. A quick recap and some encouragement to take action today.
Yes, because what you do after this podcast is what really matters.
All right, we're almost at the end of today's episode. Let's quickly recap what we covered about daily fluency practice.
Yes. First, we talked about why daily practice matters. It keeps your brain connected to English and builds confidence over time.
Then, we moved into mindset. Remember, focus on progress, not perfection. Mistakes are part of the journey.
After that, we shared practical strategies. For input, you can listen to podcasts, audiobooks, or read short, fun texts. For output, you can try shadowing, self-talk, journaling, or posting on social media.
And then we put it all together into a daily routine, even just 15 minutes combining listening, speaking, and writing. Small steps every day make a big difference.
Finally, we talked about motivation, remembering your why, making practice enjoyable, using micro-practice, and finding accountability partners.
Exactly. So here's our